Brad asks, hey Pat, but I'm going to apply this to everybody.
Okay.
Was just wondering how many fights either of you have been in or started or whatever.
In the real life.
In the real life.
Okay.
Have you guys been in any fights?
I haven't been in a fight, but I punched a kid, and he got knocked out.
Okay, wait a second. Like a kid?
No, he was like 14 or something.
That's like a kid.
Age.
Wait, how old are you?
I was 16 at the
Okay. So that was like last week?
I was on a bus, like one of those Greyhounds or what have you, and this girl, she falls asleep, and I'm sitting like all the way across at the other side. That we're sitting opposite windows, right? And this guy comes in a couple stops later. This kid who's like 14 or so, and at some point, I catch out of the corner of my eye. He's looking around, and he just takes a big old handful of her breasts, and I'm like, that's not cool.
So then you punched that kid.
So I punched the kid.
What'd she do? Did she wake up? Did she go,
didn't wake. No, she didn't wake up.
Oh, jeez.
She didn't wake up.
Everything is fine then.
I punched the kid, and I was shocked that it went as well as it could have. It went right out, which was great. And another person had seen it but wasn't saying anything because they didn't want to cause a fuss or anything. And we went to the bus driver and we said, this. And we put the kid out of the bus.
Okay.
Wait, you knocked a kid out and just left him on the road?
More or less in St. Jerome.
Okay.
Which is far away from where we live.
Okay.
And that was it. And I was...
Okay, that was your thing.
It was...
Right.
I felt good.
Have you ever been into a physical confrontation?
Like most physical confrontations, they happen when you're basically kids. So, in high school, there was some kid that were, in gym class, obviously. This is when all this stuff usually happens. But they're playing baseball or whatever. I'm with all the other ones waiting your next turn, up at bat. Some kid strikes out 3 times, gets really pissed, and just starts walking down the line of people. And I'm, like, laughing with my friend about something else. So he thinks I'm laughing about his performance. Dude, I could tell you I could not care less about baseball. But shoves me, like, what the fuck are you saying about me? And I said, I'm not saying nothing. And he starts swinging at me, and I swing at him. And he, like, I'm going to be honest, he fucking hits me, like, 2 or 3 times. I'm like, oh, shit. I hit him once. And the lazy-ass gym teacher's like, hey, stop it, you guys. Or whatever, as they were going to do. But the kid was a super asshole, so we kind of broke it up anyway. And everyone's like, yeah, Matt. Good job, you fucking hit that guy, such an asshole. But, like, no girls said anything, so...
girls watch it.
What a fucking waste of time.
Right. Pat?
Last week, I punched the lady.
She felt like Doritos.
Through my trip through kindergarten, I got in a fight the first day of kindergarten. I beat the shit out of a kid who said I was coloring wrong. His name was Bruno. I'm still pissed about it.
Okay.
Pretty much, once I got to elementary school, pretty much had a fight every day.
Yeah, okay.
And then when I got to high school, pretty much had a fight every day.
Yeah.
Not much to say other than when you're a foot shorter than every person you're ever in a fight with, it's okay if you bite their face or claw their eyes. Because fuck them.
Yeah,
just blanket fight them.
I mean,
and if somebody pops your eardrums, they'll grow back.
I'm gonna go ahead and like match and relate more with Pat here.
Oh, I stopped when I got to college. because adults.
There's no one particular incident like you guys because I went to an inner city school. Fucking fights every week, all the time.
Sure, yeah.
Like
I kind of miss it.
Throwing elbows when necessary. Fucking.
You mean throwing bows?
Throwing bows. Whatever it took. Just. God, like it would always be like stupid shit with kids and their egos that don't
absolutely always
and whatever and like I was the big fucker that was just like okay I'm going to try and like talk shit to you so that I can be like make myself look cool because shit I'm talking to whatever and then I approach you and I pick you up and put you against the locker and your feet are dangling.
Everybody has that guy
now
at school.
What? I was the guy that was big enough to be a bully that wasn't a bully.
Right.
But guess what? When I catch you trying to break into my locker, I'm going to grab you and power slam you onto the ground. And then grab you by your collar.
As you should.
And drag you down the stairs to the principal's office and throw you in there.
You know what? I tell you, I miss the ability to solve problems with violence
and get away with it.
and it be acceptable.
Yeah.
Like, granted, there's a lot of parts of the scenario I'm painting which I do not prefer to the current status of not fighting, but it was satisfying that if somebody punched me in my face, that it was an acceptable response to choke them the fuck out. Instead of being an adult. And
if you're in school today, you can't do
No, you can't do that shit.
Yeah.
You will get expelled that day.
Yeah.
And or like someone will bring a knife to school or some
Cut
shit.
it. Yeah.
You know,
It makes me think that if I was younger, if I was Liam's age, I would have gone through a very different path in my life.
No, it still happened in my school.
Oh, it's still happening?
You know how I always use like the term choke slamming?
Yeah.
There's a very specific incident where there was a fight going on.
There was a flaming table.
And this 6 foot big kid, kind of like you're describing yourself as, jabs the other guy in the face.
Jabba jabba?
And the guy just grabs his nose, and the big kid just grabs him in the neck, lifts him off the ground, and choke slams him.
I saw 2 choke slams during my trip through high school.
it's an absolute viable thing that you can do. And in the case where for me, like, I wasn't a choke slam, it was a power slam. Because the guy's back was towards me.
Yeah.
It was scumbag.
Yeah.
Right? The guy went, So his back was towards me.
Oh, it was scumbag!
Yes, it was scumbag
tactics.
He was
You should have done it over and
He
over.
was breaking into my locker, and I walked up to him as he was doing it, and grabbed him by the back of the collar and the waist, and up and then down onto the ground you go.
Yeah.
You know, not to mention just random outside.
He's
lunchtime
tall
shit.
and rail thin. That must have been easy.
Yeah, I also clocked him in assembly once, just talking mad shit in my face, and I told him say it again. He didn't, and that happened.
That's very mature.
But whatever, we were
children.
Yeah. And
25 years old,
Those sour
Hey,
days.
man, I don't care what the critics say. Violence is a beautiful thing.
Anybody who tells you that violence doesn't solve
I was
problems,
quoting Street Fighter, guys. I was quoting Street Fighter.
I'm gonna quote myself. Anybody who tells you that violence is never an acceptable solution to any problem is wrong.
Problems.
Sometimes violence is a totally acceptable solution to a problem, like World War II.
Like, no, what I mean is that as this society is going on and how violence is a less and less acceptable thing where the person that might be defending themselves and is defending themselves really well is painted as the villain. You get sued.
You ever walk down the street and you see a bunch of teenagers just being total assholes and you're just like, man, I could kick the shit out of them. And then you're like, but I can't. I'd go to jail.
Yeah. Exactly.
And of course, it also matters too if you had the kind of parent that was like basically, what happened at school today, son? Okay, how does the other kid look?
You win?
Good.
Did you win?
Yeah.
Kinda.
In most cases, yes.
Yeah, I was happy.
I can gladly say in most cases, absolutely.
You know what? I was happy to get a draw. Let's.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Because there was a thing that kids did in my school called PI. It was called personal injury.
Whoa.
And it would just be like, they'd yell from down the hall, PI on whatever. And if you were one of the fucking rambunctious bunch, you start running in the direction of the person's name, and you just knock him to the ground, and you do stuff
that's
on
that.
him.
Wow. Wow.
That was a thing.
Wow.
Inner city school.
Yeah.
So basically, someone yells, "Finish him!"
Yes, exactly.
Jesus fuck.
Right, and it was done in a sort of jest way for the people doing it,
How are
and
you
not funny for the guys.
Did you ever do that?
I didn't do it, but I got it on me, and man,
okay.
it was like, what do you do? PI on Wooly? Okay, run, get yourself back to a wall, and you fucking 300 that shit.
Yeah,
you're gonna come at me one by one. I'm gonna take you on one by one.
You should have parried it.
Yeah, sure. But that shit went down.
Should have read.
I think the best lesson I ever learned in terms of all that horrible crap was that getting punched in the face is not the end of the world.
Oh no,
no, it's really not.
And learning that lesson changes your life.
It does, and the second part of that lesson too is where most people who have not done that are afraid to cross that barrier.
And
when you see someone talking a lot of shit and they get up in your face and you're in grade 9 or 10 or whatever, and then you're like, okay, a fight's gonna happen, and then they're pushing, and then doing the chest bump and yell.
Swing first.
It's
swing first.
Exactly, because he's not going to.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the balls to, or he's too afraid of taking it to that level.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have
Beta
to.
fuck. You know.
Sometimes you have to break through the fear barrier. You can beat up a bear as long as you're angry enough.
A black bear.
Yeah. I can
Did you know
vouch
that a
for these
peanut-
facts.
Yeah. Did you know that a peanut can power your brain for over an hour?
That's not true. You made that up.
It's all ghost/aliens.
But kids listening to this podcast, don't get into fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can avoid it,
Remember, hit
make
everyone.
it known.
Be a big galoot.
Teacher's like, yo, where's your homework? You're like, yo, fucking sure you can the teacher. Just rolling thunder his ass. What? Like, you sure you can him? And then you do an RVD style rolling thunder. Damn, on the ground.
Oh, man.
Anyway.